coming up, all these different methods for installing synthetic dreadlock extensions. My name is Liz Kidder, and I'm a dreadlock artist. Hey guys, welcome back. So in the last video I showed you how I made a synthetic set of dreadlocks. So I thought this week I would show you how to install them. So we are going to be talking about single-ended and double-ended. So single-ended has the loop on the top, and then double-ended is where it's folded over and it's two different ends. Ooh, that blends into my hair. So I'm going to show you how to install both of these, and I'll show you a regular braided, like classic braid install, and also a blanket stitch. And we are specifically talking about installing on loose hair today. So disregard her dreadlocks underneath our model here. We've got all loose hair on top, and I'm going to show you how to braid them in. I will do a separate video on how to install them on dreadlocks. So this video is going to be helpful if you do not have dreadlocks at all and you want to install them on yourself to wear a temporary dreadlock style, maybe as a protective style, or if you want to try out dreadlocks without the commitment, or if you have partial dreadlocks like our model here already and you're thinking about adding more but you're not sure, this is a way to kind of try that out without committing. I've been wanting to do this video because I have people that buy synthetic dreads online sometimes and are going to be installing them themselves at home. So I've always said just go to YouTube and look up how to install single-ended or double-ended dreadlocks. So I'm excited to be able to do a video myself to give you guys. So yeah, even though I'm doing it on a mannequin here, this is very easy to do on yourself, or maybe not very easy, but it's doable. It's manageable to do on yourself. I would show you on myself, except that I don't have any loose hair to install them on. So let's jump into it. First of all, the materials that we're going to be using. So like I said, we've got synthetic single-ended and double-ended dreadlocks. I'm going to be putting them in with little clear elastics today. This can also be done with thread, but this is like the easy DIY way. We're going to be using a rat tail comb and some clips for sectioning. And then it's not necessary, but I tend to like to wet the hair and even use some gel just to help with flyaways and giving it a really clean look. Alright, let's start by sectioning out. I'm just doing kind of classic square bricklay sectioning here, but it is a temporary style, so it doesn't really matter as long as you're not putting too much weight on too small of a section. Alright, we've got her somewhat sectioned out, so let's just jump in. So like I said, I like to wet the section first, even using a little bit of gel. So this is the Dolly Locks tightening gel. Not necessary, like I said, but does make it a little bit cleaner. I'm gonna start with the single-ended and just the classic braid. So the single-ended has the loop at the top. We are going to just feed this section of hair, the whole section, through that loop. Then I'm going to split the section into two. And now I'm just going to do a standard 3-strand braid. So we've got these two sections of her hair, and then the third section is the synthetic dreadlock. So we're just going to braid it down. Now I'm using a different color dreadlock than her hair so that you guys can see what's happening here and what it actually looks like. Obviously, these are going to look the most realistic if the hair like perfectly matches with the synthetic dreadlock. But it also can be kind of a fun look if it doesn't match. Doing just a standard braid down like this almost looks like a crisscross hair wrap down the dreadlock. Braiding all the way down. And then I like to wrap the tail around at the end for a nice clean look. And then we're just going to take our elastic. Don't use your mouth to open them when you're working on a client. Try to keep that tail nice and tucked when we're putting the elastic on at the bottom. And there we go. Easy peasy. Let's do this again with an even closer look. We've got our single end loop We're gonna pull that hair through, split it into two, and a 3-strand braid using the dreadlock as the 3rd strand. Okay, now we're gonna do single-ended again, but we're going to do the blanket stitch, or at least that's what I think it's called. So starting off the same way, pulling that section through your loop, splitting it into two. So everything is the same so far until this braid. So let's see if I can explain this. Use your words. It's sort of a braid, except that the right side we're going to go around and then cross up and over the left side. And then we're gonna take the more right one, go all the way around, and then up and over the other side. I know that's probably looks and sounds confusing, but I swear your fingers just figure it out when you're doing it. It's almost like a figure 8, kind of. Up and around, and cross over. Up and around, and cross over. So what's gonna happen is the braid is gonna be fully covered. The dreadlock is gonna be fully covered. You're not gonna see the dread through this braid. And you're gonna end up with like a stitch on one side of it. So why would we use this? Well, it does make the braid a lot shorter. So, for example, with her hair, our mannequin model, she's got really long hair, right? So if we wanted to be able to see more of the dreadlock and less of her hair braided around it, then we can do this stitch and it'll shorten it. You'll see when I'm done. Alright, we're getting to the end here, so same thing. I'm just going to take that hair and wrap it all the way around so I'm not leaving a weird end hanging down, and then we're going to use an elastic to finish it off. Okay, so we've got our 2 blanket stitch, our 2 regular braid, and you can see how much longer the regular braid comes down than the blanket stitch. So this is much shorter if you want to be able to have more decorations down here. I feel like this looks better if the hair matches really well. It looks kind of silly with the two-tone. I feel like this looks better if the hair doesn't match because it looks like a wrap on top of it. But yeah, even still, if she was wearing a partial, this would veil over and cover that anyway, so it wouldn't really matter, I guess. Alright, let's give her a little turn and then we'll install double-ended ones on the other side. So again, this is essentially one long piece, but we fold it in the middle and then we have 2 ends, but it's still installed onto one section. And we are almost doing this the same way. We're gonna wet the section first, a little bit of gel, and now we're gonna split the section into 2. I like to go at a diagonal, but maybe depending on how you braid, you'll see how it falls and you can kind of adjust your parting. Then we're gonna lay the double-ended dreadlock right at the start of the section, and we're gonna flip one end up, and we're gonna clip that. And now we're gonna take our 2 halves that we already sectioned, and then same thing. This is a little more awkward, but we're just going to do a 3-strand braid down using this bottom half of the dread as the 3rd strand. Braiding it down the exact same way, and then we are just going to wrap the end and secure it with an elastic, just as we did before. And then once we've got it all in, we can unclip this top part of the dread, and that is what's just gonna fold down. So that's your bonus dreadlock you get. So it's literally like a 2-for-1. One section, 1 braid, and then we get 2 ends from it, which gives us more volume. And volume is always the goal. Alright, so now same thing, but we're gonna do it with the blanket stitch. Okay, so there you have it. We've got our single-ended standard braid, single-ended blanket stitch, double-ended standard braid, double-ended blanket stitch. So pros and cons to single versus double. I don't know, everybody seems to like go for single-ended, but the double-ended definitely gives you a lot more volume because you've got twice the threads. You do have to be careful of the weight. And I also like that the braid is only on half of the dreadlocks when you do the double-ended ones, so it's not as noticeable. But yeah, definitely the volume, come on. I mean, if anything, I would say single-ended underneath if you were doing a full head install, and then double-ended dreadlocks on top to get the volume up top and hide the braid more up top. When braided into loose hair like this, they can stay in for 6 to 8 weeks, and then they need to be taken out because your new hair growing in, the new growth, is going to start to grow in as a dreadlock. So every 6 to 8 weeks, you should take them out, give everything a good brush, detangle, wash, and then you can reinstall them. So yeah, I think that's all I've got on that. Like I said, next week I will do another video talking about how to install them on dreadlocks. So if you already have dreadlocks and you just want more dreadlocks or added colors, texture, stuff like that, they can be installed that way too. This actually is not really my thing. I don't do much of this. So if you are a dreadlock artist and you do temporary installs a lot, let me know. Is this what you do? One of these options? Which is your favorite? Leave a comment. All right, guys, thanks for being here. I'll see you next week.